You want to stand?
No, that's fine.
Okay.
Hello and welcome to Chaucer's Books, an independent bookstore in beautiful downtown Santa Barbara. I am Britta, Kaye, former bookseller, and I happen to be the editor of this book, Colors of the Initial Noise, written by DJ Jones. Let's give it up for DJ Jones! So DJ is local, as you may have guessed, and everyone is here. This is fantastic. Gosh, I met DJ and his wonderful wife, Camille, at Trader Joe's, down the street, quite literally down the street. We were all working retail. I was working here, they were working there. And I remember the first time I met him, I thought, oh, he's trying really hard to be scary. That's so cute. And Camille is adorable. And then it took me about 4 months to realize, they're married. This is amazing. It's a great match of minds. It's a great match of hearts. And frankly, this guy is quite a writer. And we started talking about our love of books and, our love of this store. And across time, it came up that I was an editor that had been working in other genres for a long time and was hoping to edit some novels. And he said, well, why not you? DJ is a risk taker. You know, DJ is a renegade, and Camille as well. And I think that's why we all kind of got along quite so well, is that I'm a renegade editor for a renegade, I think you coined that, renegade editor for renegade books. And we had a blast when it came to editing this book. I gave DJ about 3,000 suggestions. And that is not an exaggeration. I think it was about 3,000. He just pointed that out. It was a thing. And it was incredible. He has such a different mind when it comes to how writing functions, how readers function, trying to give people what they want in new ways. He has created a really interesting urban fantasy world that I really hope that you dig into, because there's going to be lots more of it. I am working on another one, so on your behalf. And it's going to be great. So I think, and the other thing we should celebrate really quick is the founding of Colloquy Publishing, Camille and DJ's new venture. So this is the very first book from this new house. And as a bookseller, I have to tell you, it looks perfect, which makes us very, very happy. So congratulations on that, and we look forward to many new titles from you soon. All y'all. So without further ado, let's welcome DJ Jones.
I thought we'd start with a reading from the beginning of the book, if that's okay with everybody. This is the end of the second chapter. A flamboyant man jogged along the sidewalk. As he sauntered by the bar, he vomited a spectacular stream between two bushes, almost nonchalantly, how someone might spit. He kept going past the bar and rounded the corner. Amber drained the whiskey coke. Whoa, Amber, Tiffany said. Yeah, take it easy. Let's get you a beer and a water, Jason said. Did they think she was drunk? Pretty sure she was drunk earlier, but felt a little sobered up, just a tish now. A band came on and assaulted the audience with noise, culminated to loud static. There was no cohesion, just noise blared over the speakers. Jason joined his friends in the pit. The ladies stayed outside where the noise was background. Jason said you got sick last night when you heard Gogol Bordello, Tiffany asked with a flecked cigarette ash. Music makes me nauseous. Any particular type of music? I don't know. Amber grabbed the glass of dark liquid Tiffany bought her. Bitter, trouble swallowing it. When she did, she enjoyed the flavor, like thick coffee. Better than the White Russian. You don't drink much, do you? Oh, I just started. Well, you're handling yourself pretty good. If I had what you had tonight, I'd be face down. Amber twinged with pride. The alcohol was making her queasy, but Amber was no stranger to queasy. You know, it's weird. I feared I was lightweight. For certain not. The flamboyant man with the streaks of dyed hair ambled past. When he got to the two bushes, he puked again. Beauty in that vomit stream, practiced and serene, disgusting maybe, but Amber was fairly immune to vomit. She and her brother had a lot of experience with it. What the F? That's some straight underground stuff, Tiffany yelled as he passed. He threw his hands as if to say, that's just how it is. Hello, how are you? Underground? How is that underground? What? Have you not heard of the city beneath the bay? Like Cthulhu, Relay, racist cosmic horror stuff? What? No, what's cosmic horror? Look it up. So what do you mean, the city beneath the bay? They say beneath the city, beneath us. They say beneath us is a series of underground markets where you could do whatever. Buy a murder, purchase insane drugs, off yourself and your greatest fantasy. Sounds like a conspiracy theory to me, Amber said. And yet so many people in Nuga Bay know about it. Anyway, I'm a fan of the theory, and I hope it's true. Because how cool, right? The theory's buy-in was flat to her. A place like that was not rooted in sound people. So what kind of music usually upsets you, Tiffany said. Hard backpedaling now that her underground stuff was not well received. Why? I'm a music major. The idea that someone might have a strong reaction to music is really interesting. I know I can't listen to jazz, classical, progressive. I can listen to some pop music, but not all. I have a white noise program on my computer, and that drowns out all sound. I like that. So safe to say you know nothing about music. I mean, I know the theory, and I can compose something as long as I don't listen to too much of it at a time. But if I told you about initial music, you'd look at me weird. Amber looked at her weird. Interesting, she said. She scanned Amber up and down. What? I know someone who might help you. She knows a lot about music and its effect on people. I assume you've been to a doctor about all this. Let me guess, they have no idea. My friend talks about music like it's a form of higher power. When I listen to it, it strikes a chord deep within me. You know, resonance is, I think, the word. All resonance means is that you match the vibration of something, Amber said, pulling random knowledge out of her skull without fully comprehending what it meant or where she learned it. But isn't it weird that some music resonates with everyone? I don't know, music just makes me sick. Yeah, but is it the same music that resonates with everyone? The bobbling man came down the walkway again. This time, he was followed by a tall man with a glorious mountain beard. He caught up to the puking man, and as he was about to pass his chosen bushes. Let's go inside, I can smell that. Inside, Amber continued to sip on her frothy, thick beverage. Jason came up, sweaty and happy. Hey Amber, we're going to a house party tonight. A bunch of us are going. You want to come? No, I've got to work early, and Aaron doesn't like it when Jeff or Tyler come in hungover. Oh, come on, Amber, come with us. You don't have to drink, Tiffany said. Oh, apologies are starting. Come on, Amber, let's go. Jason said, stepping away to invite her to the pit. Actually, Amber, go outside, Tiffany said. Pretty sure apologies will make you sick. Amber nodded, took her beer outside, and lit her cigarette. Finally belonged somewhere, tentatively. The acceptance of smoke culture invited. The act of smoking shooed away the awkward. She struggled with her rapidly warming beer. Finished and felt, yeah, that was enough drinking for the night. Apologies started their set with a high-pitched ring across a suddenly silent bar. After the ring, they started a hard, slow song, beautiful in the way a landslide might sound from afar. The roar destroyed the bar's landscape, knocked over people like ancient trees. The smoking patio emptied until Amber was alone. Waves wrung her stomach, full of alcohol, nicotine, and music. She knew the vomit came after the vertigo, found the bushes the flamboyant man favored, and added her own spice to the yellow mixture. As the vomit haze lifted, she spat out the dregs, turned around. The bombastic man and his bearded companion were so close to Amber, it forced her to take a step back to keep balance. A van appeared behind Amber, and the door slid open. She slipped on the vomit mid-fall, and the two men in front of Amber tackled her into the van. A needle jammed into her thigh.
Wow.
Oh no! This is what's called new adult fiction. It's the period of time right after you turn 18 until you're about 30. It's a relatively new genre. It wasn't even recognized as a genre until recently, but almost all of the new adult genres have a lot of whimsy to them, a lot of like cutesy, fun. I'm not a whimsical person. If you know who I am, that's just not what a word you describe me. And like the books that I read in the genre are things like The Starless Sea or Night Circus or forgot the other ones. And I don't write whimsical, and I didn't want to write something that I wouldn't want to read. And so I wrote a series of books that I wanted to read, because I wasn't getting the level of darkness, I wasn't getting the level of just silliness in the darkness as much as I wanted. So I wrote a whole bunch of books that had that level of evil, had that level of darkness in it. I was thinking about it earlier, and I'm a huge fan of the don't see evil, see, what is it?
Hear no evil, see no evil.
Hear no evil and speak no evil. Because there's a lot of people that absolutely don't want to see evil and darkness, and it disrupts them, it makes them anxious, they don't want to hear it. I love it. I think it's great. I love when I hear someone, like the atrocities that are happening in the world, I soak it up. I think it's great. Not because I approve of it, but somebody needs to look at it. Somebody needs to expose themselves to that. And I'm just one of those people that can see something horrible, and I'm okay with it. I'm strong enough that I can see the horrible things and witness them and not run away from them, because I think it's really important that somebody sees it. Because deep down, some of these people that are doing these horrible things, they have deep traumas in them. They have things that have happened to them that cause these personalities. And if we can understand what caused it, maybe we can understand why somebody would treat another person this way, or treat all of their employees horribly, or they just, something in them broke, and we can understand that when we get deep down into it. But the other part of this book is a genre called cosmic horror, or eldritch horror, and is a genre of being horrified of something that you can't understand. It's outside the realm of what we can understand. H.P. Lovecraft kind of coined it, but his writing can often be, in my opinion, fairly problematic. But it's taken off on this whole other journey of people being exposed to things that they can't and never will, and it just destroys them. It destroys their mentality, it destroys their sense of self and who they are. And I like that kind of horror, the kind of horror that you can't understand. So there's two types of the horror in this book. There's either the horror of horrible people doing horrible things. I think one of my friend's favorite scenes was somebody was drinking menstrual fluid from a wine glass and doing the tasting notes of that. There's a lot of that kind of exposure in there. That's also to the point of just absurdity. And then there's also the cosmic horror part where you can't understand it, and you get to the end and you're like, I'm not sure what I just saw, or how do I don't know how to understand that, and that's kind of the whole point. You get to the end and you're like, I want more, and there isn't any. At least not until the other books come out. There's two other books in this series that are in the process of being edited and formatted, and those all have to do with this book. There's other characters in this book that they get their own story, and they intersect, and they come together, and they go apart, and come together again. And because I wrote one book and I like two of the other characters in that book, so they got their own books. But yeah, that's the kind of story of why I wrote a renegade book, a book that you wouldn't normally see on the shelves, because somebody's got to be exposed to the darkness, and now you can too if you read the book. Which you should. It was about 2 years ago. I was driving to work with my wife, who's spectacular.
Here, here.
And we were asking, why am I not published? I'm reading books right now, and I can humbly say I'm of caliber to these books. And I think it's because the publishing industry just doesn't want this book right now. It's not the kind of book that there's probably not a mass market for it. It's a very niche market. And we decided, okay, what would a publishing house do for us? And it looks like all a publishing house do for us, all those really hardworking people, is do a lot of work. It just takes a lot of work to make a book happen, and it's not fun work. It's not enjoyable. It's just a grind before work and a grind after work, and you just keep putting in the hours, you keep finding all the errors, you keep just, like Britta said, she found 3,000 comments on that. And it's all grindy stuff. It's all moving commas around, adding periods, it's moving this here, it's adding a dialogue tag there. It wasn't even like, it was mostly structure changes. It was learning a brand new program from scratch that's very complicated. It's printing and reprinting and going through with a red pen, and just, it was all a lot of work, submitting it to the different publications and getting all the errors back, figuring out what those errors even meant. If you want to self-publish, I believe almost anybody can, but it's not fun work. It's the hard work that comes with any job. It's the stocking shelves, and it's the looking at microscopes. It's the fun of a job is often overshadowed by the work that goes into it, and it just took a lot of work to do.
But well worth it.
Well worth it. People seem to be enjoying it.
We're very happy you did.
Thank you. I think with that, we'll move it to Q&A.
Sure, you've done it. I did have a question for you,
What's up?
DJ. How were you able to write? You work full time
Yeah.
at TJ's, and how were you able to carve out the time to
I
write
forced
a
it.
book?
I let relationships slide. I have no free time. I wake up, I drink a cup of coffee, and I write. And then I go to work, and I come home, and then I write. Whether it's editing or putting words on a page, it was just a constant forcing it to happen. I really enjoy writing. I love storytelling. I've been doing it since the 3rd grade. It's what I would be doing if I wasn't getting paid. It's my hobby. It's just, I would naturally have to do it. I think it was Kowski who said, don't try to be a writer. You have to be a writer. You can't try to be a writer, you just are. That's a butchered quote.
Yeah.
But it's
We like
like,
to see
it's what I would do anyway.
Okay.
It's how I spend my free time, is just writing. I was in high school and college, and I wasn't taking notes, I was writing. All my teachers thought I was the best student, and I really wasn't. I was writing silly little stories and learning how to do plots and learning how to do characters and learning the art and the structure and mechanics of writing. And it's just, that's all I do. And I love it. It's amazing. I love telling stories, but it's work.
Yeah.
It's just work.
Yeah. Do you want to ask?
Oh, yes, I'll ask a couple questions. Should I move this back in?
Sure, if you'd like. Yeah.
Hello, Frank.
Hello.
Well done. Thank you. I get to be the first one to say that. All right. So,
Yes.
books, yes
Yes.
or no?
Books, yes.
Okay, very
Lots
good.
of books.
Very, very good. I think something you just said
made me realize you and Camille have become such deep kindred spirits in my
Yeah.
own creativity, and I couldn't even quite quantify why. It was like cosmic amazingness. But I realized when I was working here, I am not an escapist reader.
Yeah.
I don't like to read to escape. I like to read to learn about the world that I'm in.
I think once you become a writer, like you really
Yeah.
get it, the enjoyment from reading goes way down.
Oh no!
It go-
Oh no! I actually
I'm
enjoy
working.
it.
No, like I'm working while I'm reading. I'm not saying
Yeah.
you don't having fun
I'm
at your
just
job.
saying. So how was it? You decided to remain friends with me after so many nitpicky things.
Because you made it better.
Oh good. I'm very glad to hear it.
You published it. It was fantastic.
Yeah, and in a book that is, frankly, rough. You can tell how rough the content is from what he just read, and that is not the most extraordinary thing I think in the book. And I am not easily shocked. I was not shocked, but I was like, DJ, okay, you know what you're
we're
doing
going
here.
for it.
So, how do you approach people that might not automatically? I am not a horror reader, but I loved it. How can we approach people who don't normally read this kind of genre and say, maybe you should try a little darkness?
I just be honest with them. I have no qualms telling people, like, if you're not a fan of reading this kind of stuff, then don't read it. But if you want to be exposed to it, it's certainly fun. It's
Yeah.
funny.
It is very funny. I laughed at
It's,
things I never thought I would want to laugh at. It's true.
it's exciting. I think it's very provoking.
Mhm.
But it's not for everybody. I had a coworker ask me the other day that should I let my teenage daughter read this, and I was like, I can't tell you that. I'm not going to tell you how to parent, but if your child is like super innocent and doesn't want to be, maybe not. But if you think you're ready for it, do it with a little bit of a plum. I had a friend who doesn't like reading darkness, and she read it because she's my friend. And she wanted to get all the trigger warnings out of the way. And I think we've got to about 30.
I was about to say.
Yeah.
It's a
Like,
long
if you
one.
don't like violence and viscera, don't read this book.
Right? Right?
If you don't like the suggestions of like maybe sinful carnal acts, don't read it. But if you want to expose yourself to those things, absolutely read it.
Yeah. And I think actually one of the most renegade things about this book, as I'm reflecting on it, is the character Amber, who is the protagonist of this particular book, is not your typical protagonist in any genre
No.
that I'm aware of. Can you talk a bit about who she is, what makes her distinct, and why choose her for the first book?
I wanted to bring a different feel. I have already written 2 other books in this series. Several of them already have the archetypal protagonist. They have an anti-hero. We have a hero that should not be a hero.
Right.
And there was this character had a sort of innocence to her that was kind of tapped down. Like, let me phrase that. She was very innocent, but she has the capability of becoming much more than that,
Right.
because the world has tamped her down. And so she's kind of huddled up in a corner, and as soon as the world forced her out of it, she took it in stride. And I think that's something a lot of people don't think they can handle, is when they start doing something, they don't think they're going to take it in stride, and she absolutely does, even though it's kind of rough.
Yeah.
I once had somebody ask me, like, why do you hate her so much? And I'm like, I
Yeah.
believe in her. Like, she does a good job.
I understand that.
Yeah.
Some of my comments to you were, how much can they beat her back down? I thought
Yeah.
you were trying to. Anyway, there's a lot going on.
But she keeps standing up.
She does, in fact.
Mhm.
All right, I have one more question, then I'm going to open it up to other people. Colloquies.
Yes.
When I first started reading this book, you said, yeah, and colloquies, like I was supposed to know. Like, I don't know what a colloquy
A lot
is.
of-
And you've named your publishing house after them.
Yes.
So what are they? And what the hell are the ones in your book about?
There are 27 colloquies.
Yes, there are.
They're in another book featured very prominently. That would be the 3rd one that's coming out.
Yeah.
Um,
I guess.
They are little phrases that some of the characters say that focus them up. a colloquy is having a intelligent discussion and intelligent debate without the. You're not going to win a colloquy.
Right.
We're just discussing something, and there are lots of discussions, and a colloquy is the conclusion of a discussion. And so when those characters say a colloquy, and they say them a lot,
Such as?
Run riot. Raise
Run
hell.
High, Raise Hell is everyone's favorite. Validation is Toxic is also
That's a good
someone's
one.
favorite.
That's a good one.
Don't Question Insanity is another one that people really like. Never Seek Redemption is one that I have to explain to people a lot.
Have a black heart of gold.
Have a Black Heart of
Yes,
Gold.
I remember.
It's just little reminders that when you start getting into the thick of it, you can now, oh, right, I remember what I'm doing right now, and I can bring it back to the moment. And so there are little discussions when you're having a hard time and you're overwhelmed, you can be like, oh, right, don't question insanity. I don't have to talk to this person anymore. Because that one in particular is like, is talking to this person going to be fruitful?
Right.
Am I going to change their mind? Are they going to change mine? And if they're being hateful or rude or I don't want to deal with it, I just like, don't question insanity, and I don't have to deal with it anymore.
Yeah, I found that very useful in my personal life, strangely.
Right?
As will all of you. Any questions out here? Please tell me. There's got to be questions after that reading. There must be something. Anyone? Yes.
You mentioned two characters that you liked so much that they got their own book.
Yes.
Why did you like them? Was it because they were easy to develop, or did you relate to them somehow?
I mean, I don't know what it is for other writers, but I put a lot of myself in these books. I wrote one book, which is the next one to come out, The Antagonist Prison. And his employee, who is Amber, really intrigued me as like just somebody who looks like they've been shut down. You know, they're like really quiet, really reserved, and you can tell that they went through a life that shouldn't have been. And that intrigued me. And then his best friend was just a badass rebel, which is always fun to write and read. And so I was intrigued enough by the rebel and the like shut down person enough to write their own book.
By the way, that second book is perversely funny. It is darkly funny. I can't stop laughing. I'm working on it right now. Anyone else? We need some people. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Whitney.
For sure.
What constituted as initial noise to you when you were putting together, when you were choosing the songs that were going to go in each chapter? How did you pick them?
Yes, there's a lot of music in the book. I have a whole playlist up that if you wanted to, if you're reading the book, it's on the playlist. Also a bunch of songs that inspired me to do that, or inspired the book. I was thinking about music all the time, and I realized when I showed somebody a song, if it was initial, everybody liked it. It didn't matter if you like country, what is it, the Country Roads?
Yeah.
Everybody likes that song. I found maybe 200 songs that I put on that playlist that I think most people, when they read it, they either are very intrigued by the song or they like it. And so the idea of initial noise is this kind of like connection that we all have through music, and then I just upped that connection to an eldritch horror.
Because of course.
Yeah.
Like, what else would you?
So initial noise is an eldritch horror that we can't really understand that kind of connects us all and through music.
It's kind of reminiscent of the Om in Eastern
Yes.
philosophy, that there is some sort of a creative, actually even in Judeo-Christian theology, the
Yeah.
utterance is that which creates,
Yes.
but it's also wild, and yours is very sinister.
Very sinister.
Thank you. Who else?
Yeah, I read a lot of fantasy stories, not so much like yours, even though I did read yours. How do you pick a name? I know some fantasy books, they go, I'm going to take the 3rd and the 10th and the 12th letter in the alphabet. Or letter in the alphabet. How did you choose your names?
I'm not a huge fan of weird names in fantasy. I
Or
think
Hunter
most
River.
fantasy people had normal names. not biblical names. They have just normal names. Everyone's just Tom. Like, we don't need to have apostrophes. I read a bunch of those books, and it all becomes noise to me. It's just like, oh, that shape is that person's name. And so I wanted to choose normal names. There's a couple weird ones in there, but like Amber is a normal name, and then Amber she's stuck in Amber. And
Oh, there you go, okay.
but it's still a normal name. One of the characters' name is Aaron.
Yep.
And another character's name is Katerina, who goes by Kat. Like, I wanted normal names that people didn't have to just make up what they sounded like.
That's why I also loved it. I also
Yeah.
hate that.
More questions.
Anybody else? We got 2 more questions.
So, on the character building, I'm curious, are any of your characters emulating anybody in real life?
I have taken lots of conversations that I've had with people. There's a line in the book that everyone who's read it says nobody said that, and your friend said it.
Am I allowed to ask what?
It was the I literally do nothing with intention.
Yes, that's a great line.
Uh,
I would have thought someone said that.
I've had several people give me feedbacks like nobody speaks like that.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, they do. And I have an excellent memory, so I just kind of pick and choose all the interactions that I have with all these different people, and I put them in books.
That's fantastic.
As far as people, an amalgamation of a bunch of people. I couldn't say I based any one person in the book and just put that person in the book because I think that's kind of rude.
I guess my question was more so that are you pulling from people
Yes.
that are closer to you?
Any writer that tells you he isn't is lying.
Way to call writers out.
One final question. Anyone? All right.
Was there a certain plot point that was the biggest hurdle for you in writing this book or editing or?
It wasn't a plot point, but giving Amber an eating disorder is really what sent it over and into made it fun. Well, not fun, but like that's what pushed it to get the book finished. And giving her the like, what does having an eating disorder hero look like, and what does having the qualities of having an eating disorder? How do you make those qualities heroic? So she's obsessive. She has an attention to detail. She's calculating. She has all these things that allowed her to have an eating disorder. But then I just turned those into things that like help her in the book. So that's what got the last one over.
All right. Well, thank you very much,
Thank you.
everybody. DJ Jones.